the professors, students, and all the guests who have been invited here. It is going to be really not very solemn, but a very well, interesting, I guess, and a very special evening, because we're going to devote it to the kind of book, that, well, would it be, well, welcome, Robert, very welcome. We have a guest. Well, yes. Robert Taylor, the British Council. We are introducing today the book, which is well known over the world. Though, according to history, that is also well known, it was written 150 years back, and it was first published by the Macmillan Company, which is also represented here by this wonderful lady. The company, which has been very helpful in organizing this meeting today. Well, actually, this work has been going on for quite a few months, and the students were really very, very hard working, and today we'll see the result. Now, there are books and books, of course, and there are books which can be called jewels, and there are books which can be called diamonds. Well, I allow myself to call this book a diamond because, well, with the years, as become older, it has become younger and younger. Now it's still becoming younger and younger and younger. Because, well, a lot of children of all nationalities all over the world are involved in reading the book. And it is not only a book of jokes, a book of something that really makes us jolly when we're reading it, but it's also a book of philosophy. And today we are going to listen to some things which will enlighten us on the subject. Well, actually the parties, well, may I call this a party, or of course it is a sort of a party, is going to be broken up into two parts. The first part will be devoted to something that is akin to scientific things, such as, well, linguistics, of course, and, well, something that is called idiomaticity. So it is called idioms in action, the way they act in the book as in Wonderland. So the second part, after that, well, will be devoted to some acting, some scenes from Alice in Wonderland, and the other book written by the great philosopher and mathematician, who is the author of both books, Alice Behind the Looking Glass. Well, they are going to be presented here on this stage. So there is some order. And at this point, because I don't want to take some time by my words, I'll give the floor to the person who will introduce the people, who will be the speakers in the first part. Welcome. Well, Andrew, he's a student of the second linguistic education at this university. He is a very hard-working student, and he has been working very hard at organizing this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, I have the honor of presenting to you the number of scientific works prepared by students of different departments of our university. And the first speaker is Ahmed from the Department of the English Language, and he will speak about the comparative analysis in English and Russian phraseological and phraseomatic units. The floor is yours.
So, the topic of my speech is comparative analysis of English and Russian phraseological and phraseomatic units. In this research, we try to connect the set expressions of the English and Russian languages together. To start with, I'll show you some basic information on idioms. This is the division of the set expressions given by Kuhn. And well, the peculiar thing about idioms is their stability, meaning their syntactical fixity and refusal to follow the patterns of free word combinations, which even leads to usage of archaic words or their meanings in some expressions. For example, the brown study means deep melancholic thoughts. It is so because of the former meaning of the word brown, dark, moody, and study, thought reflection. With that being said, we can proceed to the research itself. We chose the book An Appointment with Death by Agatha Christie, and with the help of personal linguistic experience and, of course, dictionaries such as Macmillan Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, English-Russian Physiological Dictionary by Kunin, and other books, we analyzed the set expressions of it, and here are the results. Here you can see the chart showing the frequency of occurrence of certain types of expressions. More than 50% of expressions are phraseomatic units, 40% are idioms, and others are semi-idioms. Now I would like to give you some comparisons of the units we found in the book. And now, just like in Alice in Wonderland, a rabbit will be our conductor to the magical world of idioms, which this fairy tale obviously was and is. So, the first one is to produce the rabbit out of the hat. It is, I believe, a multicultural idiom because it is connected to a way of entertainment which is well spread all over the world. So it's no wonder that it has a structurally and semantically identical idiom in Russian. The next one is to be under one's thumb. It means to be in someone's control. This is an idiom, for it gives us a certain picture of a situation, and in different contexts, it can mean different things. That's why we can't definitely connect it with a certain Russian idiom. Well, the closest one is "быть починка каблуком," but we use it only in certain situations when a man is controlled by his other half. So we can't help rendering it by as a simple word combination analogical to it. The next one is to clear out, to escape a place very quickly. Just like Alice did, she cleared out of our boring, ordinary world to the world of fairy tales and idioms. It's not very visual, this idiom, but its Russian equivalent, испариться, is, so we can say that not always English idioms are superior in meaning to Russian ones. The next one is to shoot a glance, to give someone a brief glance, and it is a simple phraseomaticism and has an equivalent in Russian that is бросить взгляд на кого-то. So, they are structurally alike and the meaning is completely the same. And last but not least, a case of Roman holiday. This idiom is very interesting, for it is connected with certain historical events. I think you are aware of the fact that, in the Roman Empire, one of the most popular ways of entertainment was the gladiator fights. So we don't have anything like that in Russian due to our different cultural heritage. So we can convey its meaning by a word combination with the same denotation. There are more idioms in this book, but I think that the ones I mentioned show the general relations between English and Russian idioms, which are shown on this slide. And that brings me to the following conclusion. English and Russian idioms are very interestingly connected with each other. They were formed in different situations and places, but still we can find correlations in two languages, and it is remarkable how distant and close at the same time we are. This research helped me to enrich my knowledge of the English language, and now I can proudly say that this is my first more or less serious linguistic work. Thank you for your attention.
The title of the next presentation is rather interesting. Door into English Culture. Anna Markova and Daria Saikov, welcome to the stage.
Originally related to fairy tales, this book must be reread in adulthood, because the matter it seemed in childhood, the wiser it becomes now. And the story itself tells us about a strange journey through madness to wisdom. From the very first chapter, we understand that Alice is not just an ordinary girl. She doesn't like the little world where her sister lives. She doesn't want to live in a world without miracles, so she starts to create them herself. And we should admit that not every person could reject something they don't realize, but Alice is quite brave to do that. This book is full of symbols, and it fights with stereotypes about the women of the 20th century. The first image is Alice's sister. She's a classical vision of a woman of that time, educated, passive, at least her parting is passive. She's from a noble family. They are sisters, but they are completely different. Nevertheless, Alice changes throughout the story from the girl who thought that through the rabbit hole she got to the other side of the planet and forgot about the grammar rule. She uses express the term curiosa and curiosa is a linguistic joke. And to the young woman who are able to protect herself and her opinion in court when she creates through quantity. One more vision of the woman is a mother. In the chapter 6, Alice meets Duchess and Pigeon, and this scene is very interesting. Here Alice shows her attitude to maternity. She is absolutely indifferent as Carol compares her with a serpent, a predator, who eats pigeons' eggs. This is a very interesting thing, because indifference is treated as a danger. One more example of a mother is a Duchess, and this example is terrible. She is very rude to the child. But Alice doesn't express any negativity, even when the baby turns to the bee in her arms. They will meet again, and Duchess will annoy Alice physically. She describes her as very ugly, and mentally. Duchess' ideas, her understanding of life, seem senseless. For example, her comment on Alice's "I've got a right to think." So, Alice declares that she has her own personality. The same situation became observed at the Mad Tea Party. Why mad? No one drank they drink tea during the party, but all the cups were full. And the second reason is the name of the host, Mad Hatter. Do you know why he has that name? The thing is that there is a proverb, as mad as a hatter. Making felt hats, hatters worked with azote vapors, and it poisoned them. Also, it should be noticed that there is one more proverb, mad as a march head. And he also presents at the party. Now we know that not only hatter is mad, also the hair is painted with a straw on his head, the Victorian symbol of the madness. By the way, do you know that the hatter appears in the book not from the very beginning, but only in the second edition, as a Cheshire cat with this adorable smile. By the way, the number 10/6 is the price for a hat, 10 shillings, 6 pence. Also, the book was republished because of Hatter's widow. Public wanted to know the answer, and Kэрrolл had to create a solution. Who wrote on both.
Lewis Kэрrolll introduced the Cheshire cat into Alice's adventures in Wonderland. He began a pastime of sorts for lovers of the language and the imagination. The Cheshire cat remains one of the most resonant images in Kэрroll's vivid tale. It's also one of the most debated. Where did it come from? How deeply Carroll intends its meaning to run? There are no easy conclusions to draw, and perhaps no definite answers to pose next to. But in the true spirit of Wonderland, that's the fun of it. To call up Carroll's sharp picture of feline, a mischievous is to full time, and unreadable altogether, one whose path can lead back to origins, as delightful, whimsical, or haunting as the green itself. The possible roots of Cheshire cats include Cheshire cheese. In England, the county of Cheshire is known for its dairy production, particularly its cheese. Carroll grew up in the Cheshire village of Daresbury, where he no doubt would have been familiar with the local practice of producing cheeses into the shape of a grinning cat. The cat of Chester. In the Cheshire port of Chester, there is a local legend set around the dogs. It's said that Chester cats were the happiest in all of England because they feasted on the sheep brats and mice lured out of the dogs by the town's scent of milk and cheese. The carving at St. Wilfrid's Church. In the Cheshire village of Brackenhall, there is a church that has stood there since the 12th century, where Carroll's father, a vicar, used to preach and the young Carroll often visited. The carving of a grinning cat is out from above the church's main entrance. One assumes the adornment will have left deep impressions in the little boy's imagination.
This book gives us inspiration and food for thought even now. It teaches us that we shouldn't confide anyone judging by appearance or social position. There are lots of kings who are weed crackers. Alice understands that adult life with parties and pocket plays is not good as it seemed. Games could be cruel, not funny. Never be afraid to explore the rabbit hole. Never stop dreaming. Change yourself and your life and make it curious and curiouser. This book is full of doors to the English culture.
The next speaker is Anastasia Rosnikova from Department of the English Language. Idioms in Electronic Dictionaries.
So, good afternoon everyone. My name is Anastasia and I'm going to talk about electronic dictionaries and idioms in them. So, most language learners today have given up on the paper dictionaries and traded them for the quick-to-use electronic tools. The two obvious advantages of the latter are the quick feedback and no restrictions on the scope of information. However, the limitless opportunities do not always mean good quality of information and its precision. It is especially true when we speak about idioms. An idiom, as linguists put it, is a fixed expression that has a figurative meaning, which cannot be understood from the meaning of its parts. So, idioms are different in different languages. They don't coincide, though similar concepts do exist, and they are often culture-specific. Sometimes idioms are coined by writers, and Lewis Kэрrolл was one of the authors with that outstanding feeling for the language, who thought up some set expressions which survived up till now, even outside his wonderful tale Alice in Wonderland. And the purpose of my research is to compare three modern online dictionaries in their manner of presentation of idioms. These dictionaries are Macmillan Dictionary Online, Oxford Dictionary Online, and Merriam-Webster. And the idioms are taken from Carroll's book, and you can see them on the screen. The huge issue with idioms is what are the rules of their presentation, or in other words, how to correctly spot the so-called headword of the idiom. The headword of the idiom is the most constant nuclear component of the idiom under which it is listed in the dictionary, and this term was suggested by Professor Kunin in his famous English-Russian phraseological dictionary. So, comparing the three electronic dictionaries, I arrived at the following results. The idiom to go down the rabbit hole, which means to get into a very strange or chaotic situation, turns out to be very problematic as to the choice of the head word. I checked the nouns rabbit and hell, as the verb to go is extremely polysematic. And as we can see, Macmillan Dictionary lists this idiom under the word rabbit, though the idiom is absent if we look up the word hell. And the two other dictionaries, Oxford and Merriam-Webster, give us no result with either search hell or rabbit. And the desired idiom can be found if we look up the whole word combination rabbit-hell. The next idiom is to wipe the smile off one's face, which means to stop someone who is annoying you from feeling so happy or pleased. This idiom can be found in Macmillan Dictionary if we look up both the word wipe or the word smile, and in Merriam-Webster if we are interested in the word smile. However, in Oxford Dictionary this idiom is absent. The next idiom is mad as a hatter, which means, which is used to describe a very strange and crazy person. This idiom is explained in all the three dictionaries. Macmillan Dictionary and Merriam-Webster give the idiom under both mad and hatter, while, strange as it might seem, Oxford Dictionary gives us the result only if we are interested in the word mad. However, Oxford Dictionary gives us very useful notes about the origin of the phrase. It is said that the idiom was popularized with the reference to Lewis Kэрrolls book, but it was recorded in 1820. And the last idiom we consider is Alice in Wonderland, which appeared as an allusion to the book, and it is used to describe a strange situation in which everything seems to be the opposite of what normally happens. Thinking logically, the only word we can up in the dictionary is Wonderland, because Alice is a proper name, and the idiom is explained in all the three dictionaries. However, Macmillan Dictionary and Oxford Dictionary place this idiom under the word Wonderland, while Merriam-Webster doesn't do that. The phrase can be found only if we start typing Alice, and then the whole phrase will pop up. So, as we can see, modern online dictionaries provide users with very useful additional opportunities. We can expand our vocabulary and horizons at the same time. Looking up the head word of the idiom, we have a chance to find very useful expressions and keep them in mind. It is difficult to give absolutely accurate answer to the question which of the above-mentioned dictionaries is the best in providing related phrases, but as my research shows, Macmillan Electronic Dictionary is more adapted to the needs of the learners who may fail to choose one head word at once. It is clear that there is still very tough competition ahead among electronic dictionaries in their attempt to come up with the best entry faster than others. That's it. Thank you for your attention.
I give the floor to Marina Belkina, Department of the English Language, and the subject of her research is synesthetic metaphor in Lewis Carroll's works.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marina, and I'd like to tell you about synesthesia. In the book by Lewis Kэрroll, words are given to escape their dictionary-defined boundaries. Kэрroll unlocks words from their context and gives them an identity of their own. Much of this happens due to synesthesia. Thus, the topic of my presentation is synesthesia and its realization in the language by means of synesthetic metaphors. Metaphors which became one of the most used devices in Lewis Carroll's works. Etymologically speaking, the word synesthesia comes directly from the Greek words syn, together, and aesthesis, perception, and means sensation in one part of the body, produced by stimulus in another. Or in other words, a metaphorical process by which one sense modality is described or characterized in terms of another. For instance, in the phrase "a cold light," we speak about a visual concept light in terms of the word "cold" that belongs to a touch domain. The classification of the perceptual domains can be made with 5 senses: visual, sound, touch, smell, and taste. During the process of perception, all our perceptual domains are closely connected. They cooperate and create the whole concept. In linguistics, this phenomenon is realized by using synesthetic metaphors. An expression such as long color is a classic example of synesthetic expression. It involves the mapping from the tactile sense, referred to by the word warm, into visual, referred to by the word color. But on the other hand, the phrase warm breeze is not a synesthetic expression, as both words warm and breeze belong to the touch domain. So there is no sensory mismatch in this expression, as one can see in warm color. Now I would like to analyze 2 examples with the component sharp from the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Here we can see that the phrases sharp bark and sharp hiss, which are synesthetic metaphors, result from a combination of a modifier adjective sharp and a cat, noun bark and hiss, where both express different perceptual qualities. Thus, in these phrases we talk about a sound concept, bark and hiss, in terms of the word sharp that belongs to a touch domain. Having analyzed 190 examples, I can say that the model sharp smell is the most frequent in this material and is represented by 77 examples, or 41%. The model sharp sound is less frequent, and it is represented by 51 examples. The model sharp vision is represented by 43 examples and totals 22%. And the least frequent model in this material is sharp taste and totals 19 examples. To sum up, many of the metaphors we use every day are synesthetic, describing one sense modality with vocabulary that belongs to another. Silence is sweet, facial expressions are sour. Along with pattern recognition, synesthesia may be one of the building blocks of metaphor. Thank you for your attention.
The next speaker is Jan Zorin, Department of the English Language. Semantics of phrasal verbs with several parts.
Good evening, everyone, and today I'm going to talk about semantics of English phrasal verbs with several particles. The English language contains a massive layer of phrasal verbs, and they are widely used in speech. Nowadays, phrasal verbs are used in all styles, including scientific and official documents, and new units are formed continually. Phrasal verbs are said with idiomatic expressions combining verbs and particles to make new verbs, and the meaning of each particle contributes to the meaning of the whole expression. Kэрroll's books are brimming with phrasal verbs too, as the action is full of events which need to be described by means of verbs of action and motion. Phrasal verbs with several particles are a frequent phenomenon in English, and you can see some examples on the screen. Their semantics has been rather under-researched, and trying to fill in this gap, I'd like to talk about one of the phrasal verbs with several particles from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and the verb to get back to. The more specific meaning of this phrasal verb, which means to return to something, results from the interaction of its components, to get, back, and to. The element to get has the sense of movement to a particular aim, and due to our cognitive knowledge, suggests that this action implies causes, purposes for realizing it, and difficulties when acting. In other words, the verb carries information about the whole situation of getting. Also, the meaning of the particle back, return to the previous place, presupposes that the subject had a particular state, then something happened to it and changed this state, and now the subject has just returned to its initial position. And finally, the particle to implies motion of the subject towards a particular aim, and we can see that the meaning is slightly metaphorical in this case, as Alice in the sentence speaks about her size, thus reducing in size is a kind of action and not motion. Another interesting example is the verb particle construction to grow away from, which means to come to have less close relationships with someone. Here, the verb to grow, whose primary meaning is to undergo mutual development by increasing in size and changing physically, is used metaphorically, and it happens mostly due to the influence of the particle away, which means movement to a different place. And we can guess that the verb to grow here denotes some kind of growing from a person, or in other words, we can say that our ideas, thoughts, or goals in life have become different. Also, the meaning of the preposition from is slightly uncommon in this case, and because it usually indicates direction from a point in space at which a journey or an action starts. And here it is not a point in space, but some kind of a person or a group of people. So we can see that in this sense, the construction is strongly metaphorical. To sum it up, I'd like to say that these two examples point to the fact that in multi-particle phrasal verbs, the particles serve as an instrument of reconceptualization of the verb's primary semantics, moving them into a new category of verbs. For example, get starts to mean the action of reaching some position, and to grow turns into the verb of psychological activity, promotion metaphor. That brings to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
The next student has come to us today from the city of Bryansk, Veronika Nabroneva, Correspondence Department, Idioms in Lewis Carroll's words.
I would like to talk about phraseology as a source of humor in Lewis Carroll's books. And I would like to share with you Tom's thoughts that came to my mind during my adventure in the world of Lewis Carroll's books. To begin with, I would like to quote Lewis Carroll. Alice felt dreadfully puzzled. The hatter's remark seemed to have no real meaning, and yet it was certainly English. In my opinion, this phrase contains much of the essence of Lewis Carroll's nonsense novels. Reading them, we may feel dreadfully puzzled. The words may seem to have no meaning at all, though they are certainly English words. The English language, in fact, plays a significant role in Lewis Carroll's Alice books. To play with the words of the language is one of the preoccupations of the characters. They repeatedly use the words of the English language in their literal and figurative meaning, invent new words, rephrase set expressions, and make comments on the language. All this leads to absurdities and creates a humoristic effect. Readers are amused with endless puns, absurd syllogisms, and patent words. Among linguistic problems which interest Lewis Carroll are language logic and word meaning, such as logical and contextual, direct and literal. I would like to look at some linguistic puzzles which are based on the interplay of direct and contextual meaning. Talking with the caterpillar, Alice said, "I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, because I'm not myself, you see." "I don't see," said the caterpillar. "You see, it is a set phrase. According to Macmillan Dictionary, we use it when we're explaining something. But the caterpillar understands these words in their literal meaning. The same happens when Alice uses the phrase, "you know." "One doesn't like changes so often, you know." "I don't know," said the caterpillar. The phrase "you know" is used for emphasis, but the caterpillar understands Alice's words literally again. At the Mad Tea Party, Alice talks with the Hatter. The Hatter mentions a person called Time, saying that he had talked with him. Alice misunderstands the Hatter and speaks about beating time. "I dare say you never even spoke to Time." "Perhaps not," Alice cautiously replied. "But I know I have to beat time when I don't use it." "Ah, that accounts for it," said the Hatter. "He won't stand beating." To beat time means to make regular movements or sounds to show how fast a piece of music should be sung or played. The Hatter doesn't get the idiomatic meaning of the whole phrase, but he narrows it to the meaning of the verb to beat, which is to hit someone violently several times. The absurdity of the situation is obvious. The following situation is based on the double meaning of the set phrase "to stand down." "If that's all you know about it, you may stand down," continued the king. "I can go no lower," said the Hatter. "I'm on the floor as it is." To stand down means to leave the witness box in a court of law after you have answered lawyers' questions. The Hatter understands the king's words literally, thinking that the king wants him to stand in a lower place or position. In the sequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, we also find examples where phraseology serves as a source of humor. Alice explained as well as she could that she had lost her way. "I don't know what you mean by your way," said the queen. "All the ways about here belong to me." Macmillan Dictionary writes that "lose your way" means to not know where you are or where you want or how to get to where you want to go. Заблудиться. But the Red Queen understands independent meaning of each word separately, and this situation becomes paradoxical. We shall look at one more example. "What is it you want to buy?" said the sheep at last. "I don't quite know yet," Alice said very gently. "I should like to look all around me first, if I might." "You may look in front of you, and on both sides, if you like," said the sheep. "But you can't look all round you unless you've got eyes at the back of your head." If we look up the phrase "to look round" in Macmillan Dictionary, we will find the definition to walk around the room, building, or place and see what is there. But the sheep understands these words literally, and this creates a humoristic effect. All these cases show how skillfully Lewis Carroll handles the words and rules of the English language, and how logic and meaning can play tricks on the readers. The Lewis Carroll's phraseology works wonders. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. The next speaker is Anastasia Zabuznaya, Department of the English Language. English idioms as an object of language play in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland.
Hello everyone, my name is Anastasia Zabuznaya, and I'm going to talk about English idioms as an object of language play in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. As the topic of my presentation is language play in Alice in Wonderland, let's first of all define what it is. According to Macmillan Dictionary, wordplay is clever or funny use of words. Reading the book, I found about 70 cases of wordplay. And as you can see, in the diagram, I singled out 6 main groups. Here they are. And also we can see that idioms occupy the largest part of the diagram, that's about 30%. Let's move to the next point, classification of the idioms used. The diagram in this slide shows that among the idioms, only 30% were used conventionally, and other 70% are cases of non-conventional use. If we look carefully at the idioms of non-conventional use, we see that there are cases of periphrasis, double actualization, polysemantic effect, and wrong reference. Judging by the statistics, periphrasis is the most generally used method of wordplay with idioms. It means that Lewis Carroll with humorous situations in the book mainly with lexical means that already existed in the language, to make them more funny and understandable to the reader. He turned everything upside down in the most absurd and ironic way. That is why many people say that the main character of Carroll's books is English language itself. Now let's look at the examples of conventional use of idioms. In this case, the idiom high time is used conventionally. The next case is the case of periphrasis. Periphrasis is a phenomenon when idioms are manipulated with by the author. You are enough to try the patience of an oyster. It is a periphrasis of an idiom, patience of a saint. Another example of periphrasis is shall get me executed as sure as ferrets are ferrets. It is the periphrasis of the idiom as sure as eggs are eggs. White Rabbit is afraid of the Duchess's anger. That is why he uses words ferrets instead of eggs to strengthen his emotions, his fear, as ferrets are natural enemies of the rabbits. There are cases of double actualization. Double actualization is perception of the meaning of the idiom and the meaning of its components at the same time. Let's look at the example. Here we see the idiom as pigs have to fly. It means something impossible, but what the Duchess actually means is that Alice has no right to sing, which is absolutely possible. There is another example of double actualization. A cat may look at a king, said Alice. I've read it in some book, but I don't remember where. This idiom means that no one is so important that an ordinary person cannot look at him. But there really was a cat who stared at the king, and the king didn't like to be looked at like this. He wanted to punish the cat, and Alice said these words to protect him. Here is a case of polysemantic effect. It's really dreadful, the way all creatures argue. It's enough to drive one crazy. To drive one crazy has two meanings. To force someone into a state of insanity or mental instability, and to annoy or irritate someone. Here we can see the first and the second meanings are combined, because Alice was really annoyed by the creature's manner of arguing, but also to stay there made her argue just like the other did. There is a case of wrong reference. It's a phenomenon when the idiom doesn't refer to the object, it refers in its conventional use. The idiom to box one's ears means to punish someone. This idiom is usually used when an adult punishes a child. In this case, we can see that Alice liked to pretend to be two people at once, and we can guess that one of the two was mature Alice, who was well behaved and grown up to give advice to the other Alice, who was a naive and sweet child. So now we'll look through all examples, and in conclusion I want to say that idioms in the book were used by Carroll mainly to provide comic effect and to create absurd situations that brings out expressive abilities of English language. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Anastasia. The next speaker is Daria Leshnikova, Department of the English Language. A rabbit hole in the metaphorical world. Metaphor as a mirror of the real world.
Good evening, everyone. Today we'd like to speak about Metaphors in Alice in Wonderland. The satirical nature of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is clear by the similes and metaphors that the author injects throughout the work. And in my research, I would like to focus on some outstanding metaphors in this amazing book that celebrates its 150th anniversary. So, the fantasy world of rabbit holes and magic caves, secret doors and mad hatters has charmed children and adults all over the world. But it is not just an innocent child's dreamlike adventure. There is more to it than it first meets the eye. And as Freudian interpretation says, there must be something deeper than what's on the surface. It seems that Alice's story grows with the reader, and I would argue that one of the reasons of its evergreen condition of the tale is the subtle world of metaphors that starts to open up to the reader in the process of his or her growing up. So, the possible readings of metaphors shapes up with the inevitable and slow process of understanding of the world around us. Language is thought to be the product of people's conceptualization of the world. Thus, metaphors are useful tools to reconceptualize things. Metaphors are essential for the writers for at least two reasons. So they express difficult concepts through other more familiar ones, and express a completely new or personal view on the world, and help us to shape our personal own view on this world. So, using metaphor going down the rabbit hole, the author tries to convey the idea of exploring new and unknown. So, rabbit hole under the hedge is where Alice's adventure actually begins. She never considers how she would get out of this wonderland. So, she doesn't think how she can come back to the real world. I would like you to delve with me into something yet unknown to you, a world of metaphors, and we will try to find out which world is more real indeed, metaphorical or an ordinary one. So, down the rabbit hole we go. Today, metaphor chasing the rabbit down the rabbit hole stands for job promotion or advancement on sports team. In fact, we are all chasing that idea in our life in different situations. But Lewis Carroll's interpretation of this idiom has slightly different connotations. Generations of readers have always been eager to find out these hidden meanings and messages in this rabbit hole journey. And today I would like you to show some outstanding places that Alice visited, and I will try to offer a creditable interpretation of their metaphoric meaning. So, the first, going down the rabbit hole, Alice is sitting with her sister on the riverbank when she suddenly sees a white rabbit in a waistcoat and with a boy in his hat, with the watch in his hand, his paw. She gets curious, and here her adventure starts. She follows the rabbit down the rabbit hole, and thinking metaphorically, it is the tunnel through which she reaches the realm, and it can be interpreted as a classic symbol of birth. Down there, rabbit is gone, and Alice finds herself in a long hall with doors all around it. She tries them, they are all locked. And then she comes across a little 15-inch high door, and she peers through it and sees the most wonderful garden she ever saw. And the desire to reach this garden can be interpreted as the desire to come back to paradisal childhood innocence. When Alice enters White Rabbit's house, she finds a bottle marked drinking. She drinks it, hoping it makes her larger, but in fact,
It makes her larger, but she grows so large that the room she is in becomes like a womb to her. And she is thus symbolically trapped in the constricting limits of childhood, where one is ordered about and has to deny oneself in his or her own affairs. Next, she comes across Madge Hare's house, and there is a table set out in front of this house for a never-ending tea party, as time insulted by the Mad Hatter won't advance there past 6 o'clock. It has been speculated that tea party is Carroll's satire on his college dining table at Oxford, where people gathered every evening for the same, it may have seemed to him, insane conversation. At the tea party, Don Mouse tells a story, but Alice keeps interrupting it. So others make rude remarks to her, and finally Alice becomes really offended and she walks away. Afterwards, she reaches the Queen of Hearts garden, and it can be viewed as the lovely garden of childhood, haunted by the bullying of adults. Last but not least, Matterfair is concerned the court, and Alice gets there as a witness to a baseless accusation of Knave of Hearts, who is believed to have stolen the tarts. Some people believe that Carroll metaphorizes British politics through this absurd court trial, and where King is the judge and the jurors are not very smart. Others believe that it is a symbol of adult autocratic authority. So during the trial, Alice gradually grows larger than everyone about her, as she stands up against some kind of bullying and illogic that have pursued her throughout the book. At this point, Dream of Childhood ends. Future generations may see other hidden meanings, and in a tale this rich, it's highly likely they will. But I have one question for you. Have you regarded metaphors outside the domain of literature, or maybe mentioned them in other contexts? Guess highly unlikely you did. So, of course, we may not notice them in our life, but in fact we are surrounded by them. Metaphors appear in newspapers, magazines, journals, books, and we understand that metaphors are very useful for our understanding of the world. So we can make a conclusion that metaphors, the essential function of metaphors is explanatory function. So I've given you some food for thought, and you need some time to digest it. Now that you got acquainted with the notion of metaphors, you are infected by them, and actually there is no way back, because you've jumped into that rabbit hole too with me, and you won't be able to stay away from using metaphors in your speech. So thank you for your attention. You are a great audience.
Thank you, Darian. I give the floor to Lisa Volkova, Correspondence Department, Wordplay in Lewis Carroll's fiction.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lewis Volkova, and I'm delighted to be a part of this event and share with you some thoughts on the subject which I'm passionate about, and it is wordplay in Lewis Carroll fiction. The aim of my work is to look at some cases of wordplay and to analyze the text we create in the text. I will start by the defining of meaning of wordplay and then proceed to the selecting and analyzing different samples from Carroll's text. Wordplay is a clever and playful use of words, and it occupies a significant position in English literature, principally because of the unique flexibility of the English language. The varieties of wordplay available in English are without number: puns, homophones, polysemantic words, personification, word formation. I would like to begin with homophones, words which are pronounced the same but are written differently and have different meanings. In this extract, the author makes a pun by using the words lessons and to lesson, which sounds as homophones. When both of the words occur in the context, they create a humorous and paradoxical effect. By playing with the words purpose and purpose, a small toothed whale, the author makes another pun and creates another funny situation.
In this case, the set expression without purpose gives a perfectly new meaning if we change one word to another with a similar pronunciation. Homophones enrich the speech and add characteristic to the conversation as in the next example. The noun taught us and the word combination taught us are pronounced in the same way. And let me give you one more example of homophones. The words tea and drinking begin with the letter T, the pronunciation of which is homonymous with the word tea, which is a beverage. Another literary device which Kэрrolл uses is a pun based on polysemy, which is the capacity for a word or phrase to have multiple meanings. Let's analyze the next example. The word miss is a polysemantic word. In the first sentence, Alice uses the noun miss to mean a verb. In the second sentence, the net uses the verb to miss, which means to fail, to be present for something. Kэрrolll often rephrases set expressions. Here, the set expression to lose one's temper, which means to become very angry, is modified when the word temper is taken out of the context and it becomes a part of a new combination of words. Its temper would remain. The new phrase sounds funny and absurd. Let's move on forward to word formation. In this example, Kэрrolll plays with the words reading and writing, creating an analogy with the very well-known saying, reading and writing. The author does the same with the words mystery, a comparison with history, theography, a comparison with geography, drawing, a comparison with drawing, and all this wordplay creates a paradoxical effect and makes the reader look at the words differently. By using word formation, Kэрrolll also demonstrates the power of the English language. The words amplification and amplifying are examples of word formation after the pattern beautification. The author shows us that in order to understand words which you haven't known before, yet you just need to be guided by intuition. And finally, let's look at personification. This figure of speech gives non-human objects human attributes and adds realness to expressions. Nobody makes no person no one, but the king thinks it is a living thing. To conclude, in the last few minutes, I tried to show you that all kinds of wordplay, humor are characteristic of Lewis Carroll's literature. Reading Kэрrolll with smile, think about his readers, admire his wordplay, fall into his linguistic world. He makes us face countless linguistic challenges, appreciate the richness of words and the immense variety of combinations that they produce. Lewis Kэрrolll likes to be present in the story and often comments upon what is happening, attracting our attention to important details. He shapes the way in which the text is interpreted by the readers. His characters take the world as it is, even if it is upside down. Thank you very much.
The language of illusion and reality. The last but not least speaker of this section, the student of the correspondence department, Andrei Ponomarev. The floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrei Ponomarev. I am a student of the Faculty of the Second Higher Education, the student of the third year. I am not going to talk about Alice in Wonderland. I would like to say something about the fate of J. Gatsby as he is described by Francis Scott Fitzgerald in his famous novel, The Great Gatsby. I will look at the passage where Francis Scott Fitzgerald describes the story of James Gates, a young man of 17. To my mind, this description falls into two parts. The first part is devoted to the description of the life of this young man of 17 when he was still James Gates. Fitzgerald describes his half fierce, have lazy work and racing days. He says that James Getz was a grain digger, a salmon fisher, or worked in any other capacity. His body became brown and hardening, and he was beating his weight. All these words create an image of a strong, almost rude young man who had a strong feeling, often an overwhelming self-absorption to succeed in life. At the same time, such phrase as beating his way stresses the idea of overcoming hardships and difficulties. This self-absorption of James is masterfully shown. Before becoming Jack Gatsby of West Egg, Long Island, Fitzgerald writes about James as a man with a great imagination who could invent anything. He created a new name for himself, James Gatsby. He had the name ready for a long time. J, as Fitzgerald puts it, sprang from his platonic conception of himself. He considered himself to be a son of God, who must be above this vocabulary is obviously harsh. The words which are used by Fitzgerald have obviously a negative connotation and evaluation. And we can see some peculiarities of the so-called romantic idealism in the imagination of J. Gatsby. This second part, which follows, is devoted to the description of Jay's imagination. This young man, as I have said, has his own imagination. Describing this imagination, Fitzgerald used quite different words. For example, he writes that Jay's heart was in a constant, turbulent riot. The ideas, concepts that haunted Jay were most grotesque and fantastic. A universe of ineffable guidance spun itself out of his brain. And all these reveries and ideas were like a satisfactory hint of the unreality of reality. And the most important expression that is used by Fitzgerald is that the rock of the world is founded on a Ferris wheel. And we can see the results of this romantic idealism of J. Gatsby. In the end of the passage, Fitzgerald changes the language again. He writes that Jay was dismayed, despite his janitor's work. He writes about his dreams of his destiny, and destiny itself. Writing about Gatsby's life, Fitzgerald again uses the expression to take his way through. And this expression goes back to the expression beat his way through. And as a conclusion, we can say that Francis Scott Fitzgerald shows the contradictory character of the American dream. On the one hand, it is a promise of freedom to advance and achieve success. But on the other hand, it is just a myth and illusory vision of life. Fitzgerald sees the American dream as a contradiction and distortion of reality, as you see here. And thank you for your attention.
Well, it is the end of the first part, and thank you all who spoke very, very much, because they contributed a lot, not only to linguistics, but to themselves, because by speaking another social situation that we're having today, they have some kind of additional feeling of themselves. It is just not speaking to a group of people, but it's speaking to a big audience. So thank you very much. And I think, just a moment, and I think that, well, some of the things that we have seen here today really contributed a lot to not only to their own course papers, to diploma papers, but to understanding of a lot of things. And I think that all those who are present really evaluate to the proper level. Thank you very much. And now I'm giving the floor to the person who represents here the British Council, that is Robert Taylor. Mr. Robert Taylor, would you please say a few words to the audience?
Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome. Nice to see you all here. This is not the first time I've been to this university, and I should say that I never fail to be impressed at the standards here, or would expect to see some fantastic English and analysis when I come here, but it's been once again a great surprise to see presentations of this standard, so it's excellent to see, and it's a very, very great way to finish the week for me. And very impressed to see someone travel all the way from Bryansk to do this as well. It shows how much dedication there is, so congratulations for that. Alice in Wonderland is quite a book. It brings so many things together, and I think the special thing is that it wasn't written really by an author, it was written by an Oxford professor, and it was the result of telling a story to three children from somebody who had a very, very deep and special classical education. That's why there's so much in it, from mathematics and logic and philosophy, and written in a way that children can understand, and that gives it so many different layers of meaning that it just beggars belief, really does. It's incredible. And to think that that was all written by hand, so probably done in a linear way. We all write today. It's not difficult to write with word processors, but writing a book of that size and that nature, page by page with a pen, is really something, and that's something we shouldn't forget, I think. So there's so much in that book, and it makes me reflect this evening that although I read the book a few years ago, there is still a great deal to take from it and something we can all reflect on. It's not a book of its time, it's a book of all time, really. And that makes me think about the recent film, the 2010 film, which some of you might have seen. That film took over $1 billion at the box office. And that's how far all these concepts and ideas keep springing to life in different ways. You won't be surprised to hear that because it took $1 billion, there's a sequel in the making. So there's another film to look forward to probably next year. But we're not here to celebrate Tim Burton's films, we're here to celebrate a great one. And it really is. I'm impressed that the university has chosen this because it gives, beyond the language, so much richness and different concepts for you to think about. So great. And a very nice surprise from Andrew at the end with the Great Gatsby. Actually, I haven't read The Great Gatsby, so Andrew's given me something to do, but I was really struck with the language in that presentation. That's quite rich, and struck with the idea of the American dream. We don't have an American dream in the UK. I sometimes wish we did. We have a very different system of class structure, social structure, power structure, and so on. And again, seeing Andrew's comments at the end, I don't know if they have an American dream in America either. So there's something more for me to read and study. Thank you for that, Andy. It's been a very entertaining evening so far, and I know you've got some more presentations to watch, some scenes being acted from the book. You must forgive me, I have to move on. I'm the British Ambassador's cultural attaché in Russia, and he is hosting a huge party this evening to celebrate the launch of the UK-Russia Year of Language and Literature. And if I don't go, I will be fired. Much as I would love to stay, I'm unable to, but I've enjoyed the beginning very, very much, and I wish you the best of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your extremely kind words, Professor. And there's one little thing we'd like to give you. It's about the bag is too big for the things that I'm giving you. I'm sorry for that. But probably you will enjoy the inside. And that is, probably you'd like to know something about old Moscow. These are, a set of photographs of old Moscow taken by the photographer who lived before the revolution. Here they are. Well, that's one thing. And this is something else. Well, you know what is coming. Well, of course, it is not a proper shape. It is not a proper shape. No, far from it. But, well, anyway, it has a name. So, and, Easter is coming. Easter is coming. So there you have that. We understand, spending your time here and there, the embassy, the British Council and everywhere, and we understand that is a great privilege for us, for you, that you came here and spent some time with us. Thanks a lot, and for your appreciation. Now we are coming over to the second part of our, Professor Taylor said, presentation. Actually, we are going to be acting out of some little pieces from both books by this great mathematician, and everybody knows the order. So, who is the first, please? Well, there is a girl who has been reading the book all the time. Where's the girl? She is not lost. Well, she's coming. Well, come on in. Come on in. Well, we are starting the second part. Yes, here's the girl. Here's the girl who is carried away by Alice's adventures, and she cannot bear herself away. So, that's good. So, you've got your microphone.
Hey, Teddy, what would you like to do today?
Oh, you look so tired.
Well, what about reading our favorite book, Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass? Okay. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeked into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? Oh, I know, Teddy, that you know it almost by heart. Okay, let's move to your favorite part. Alice stretched herself out on tiptoe and peeped over the edge of the mushroom, and her eyes immediately met those of a large blue caterpillar that was sitting on the top with his arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah and taking not the smallest notice of her or of anything else.
The caterpillar and Alice looked at each other for some time in silence. At last, the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth and addressed her in a languid, sleepy voice.
Who are you? I hardly know, sir. Just a person. At least, I
know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have been changed several times since then.
What do you mean by that? Explain yourself.
I'm afraid I can't explain myself, because I'm not myself, you see.
I don't see.
I'm afraid I can't put it more clearly, for I can't understand it myself to begin with. And being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
It isn't.
Well, perhaps you haven't found it so yet, but when you have to turn into a chrysalis, you will someday, you know, and then after that, into a butterfly. I should think you feel it a little queer, won't you?
Not a bit.
Well, perhaps your feelings may be different. All I know is it would feel very clear to me.
You? Who are you?
Which brought them back again to the beginning of the conversation. Alice felt a little irritated at the caterpillars making such very short remarks, and she drew herself up and said very gravely,
I think you ought to tell me who you are first.
Why?
It was another puzzling question, and as Alice couldn't think of any good reason, and as the caterpillar seemed to be in a very unpleasant state of mind, she turned away.
Come back. I've something important to say.
These sounded promising, certainly. Alice turned and came back again.
Keep your temper.
Is that all?
No.
Alice thought she might as well wait, as she had nothing else to do, and perhaps, after all, it might tell her something worth hearing. For some minutes it puffed away without speaking, but at last it unfolded its arms, took the hookah out of its mouth, and said,
So, you think you are changed, do you?
I'm afraid I am, sir. I can't remember things as I used. And I don't keep the same size for 10 minutes together.
Can't remember what things.
Well, I've tried to say how dark a little visit being, but it all came different.
Repeat. You are all Father William.
You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white. And then you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right? In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might injure the brain, but now I am perfectly sure of not. Why I do it again and again?
It is not set right.
Not quite right, I'm afraid. Some of the words have got faulted.
It is wrong from beginning to end.
There was silence for some minutes. The caterpillar was the first to speak.
What size do you want to be?
Well, I'm not particular as to size. Only one doesn't like changing so often. You know.
I don't know.
Alice said nothing. She had never been so much contradicted in all her life before, and she felt that she was losing her temper.
Are you content now?
Well, I should like to be a little larger, but you wouldn't find. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be.
It is very good height, indeed,
said the caterpillar angrily, rearing itself upright as it spoke. It was exactly 3 inches high.
But I'm not used to it. I wish the creatures wouldn't be so easily offended.
you get used to it. Indeed, in time.
The caterpillar put the hookah into its mouth and began This time Alice waited patiently until it chose to speak again. In a minute or two, the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth, yawned once or twice, and shook itself. Then it got down off the mushroom and crawled away into the grass, merely remarking as it went.
One side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter.
One side of what? The other side of what?
Thought Alice to herself.
Of the mushroom.
Said the caterpillar, just as if she had asked it aloud. And in another moment, it was out of sight.
This one is wonderful, Teddy, isn't it? But I like the one with the cat more. Just listen. Alice began thinking of the other children she knew who might do very well as pigs, and was just saying to herself, if one only knew the right way to change them, when she was a little startled by seeing the Cheshire Cat sitting on a bough of a tree a few yards off.
The cat only grinned when it saw Alice. It looked good-natured, she thought. Still, it had a very long claw and a great many teeth. So she felt that it ought to be treated with respect. Cheshire Puss, she began rather timidly, as she did not at all know whether it would like the name. However, it only grinned a little wider. Come, it's pleased so far, thought Alice, and she went on. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. So long as I get somewhere, Alice added as an explanation. Oh, you are sure to do that, said the cat, if you only walk long enough. Alice felt that this could not be denied. So she tried another question. What sort of people live out here? In that direction, the cat said, waving its right paw around, lives a hatter. And in that direction, said the cat, waving the other paw, lives a marsh hare. Visit either you like, they're both men. But I don't want to go among mad people, Alice remarked. Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad here. I am mad, you are mad. How do you know I'm mad? Oh, you must be. Oh, you wouldn't have come here. Alice didn't think that proved it at all. However, she went on. And how do you know that you are mad? To begin with, said the cat, a dog's not mad. You grant that? I suppose so, said Alice. Well then, the cat went on. You see, a dog growls when it's angry, and wags its tail when it's pleased. Now I growl when I'm pleased, and wag my tail when I'm angry. Therefore I'm mad. I call it purring, not growling, said Alice. Call it what you like, play croquet with the queen today?" "I should like it very much," said Alice, "but I haven't been invited yet." "You'll see there," said the cat, and vanished. Thank you.
I don't know if everybody who's present here is aware of one very important fact that hasn't happened. Fact, not event, that hasn't happened in our institutes, universities for quite some time. We have been having a new generation of not linguists, but linguists who are speaking 3 languages: Russian, English, French, of course, and German or Spanish, whatever, and of course the language of science. So now we are going to present to you this particular group of students who are already graduates. They are the 4th year. They are graduating for this university. And I should say that in the first university in Russia, and the only one probably that has graduated such wonderful students who really can command 3 or 4 languages, just like these ones. So welcome them, please do.
We all know what happened to Alice when she saw a bottle on a table labeled "Drink Me" and had a cake with "Italy" written on it. Let's imagine what would happen to her if she had a biscuit and found herself in the deaf world.
Falling down the stairs.
Hello? Hello? Hey? Hey? Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to. I don't much care where. Then it doesn't matter which way you go. So long as I get somewhere. Oh, you are sure to do that, if you only walk long enough. What sort of people live about here? In that direction lives a hatter, and in that direction lives a March hare. Visit either you like, they are both deaf.
But I'm not used to being among deaf people. I don't know some language.
Oh, you can't help that. We are all deaf here, and we all sign. I am deaf. You are deaf.
How do you know that I am deaf?
You must be, or you wouldn't have come here and you wouldn't be able to sign.
And how do you know that you are deaf?
To begin with, a hearing person is not deaf. You grant that?
I suppose so.
Well then, you see, a hearing person usually listens to the speaker when they talk, but I don't listen to anybody. I watch them. Look, they're watching us. Therefore, I am deaf. Therefore, they're deaf.
I call it discourtesy, not deafhood.
Call it what you like. No room.
There's plenty of room.
Have some wine.
I don't see any wine.
There isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know. It was your table. It's laid for a great many more than 3.
Your hair wants cutting.
You should learn not to make personal remarks. It's very rude.
For the deaf, it isn't. We always say what we think. On the contrary, it's rude to hold something back.
What is it that is deaf, dumb, and blind, and always tell the truth?
Come, we shall have some fun now. I'm glad they began asking riddles. I believe I can guess that.
Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then you should say what you mean.
I do. At least I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know?
Not the same thing a bit. You might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might just as well say that I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
It is the same thing with you.
Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give it up. What's the answer?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Nor I.
I think you might do something better with the time than wasted in asking riddles that have no answers.
Take some more tea.
I've had nothing yet, so I can't take more.
You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to make more than nothing.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Who is making personal remarks now? I want a clean cup. Let's all move one place on.
At any rate, it's the craziest tea party I've ever been in all my life.
Now, Teddy, I know the end of your story perfectly well.
better. If I can get to the top of that hill, and here's a path that goes straight to it. At least, no, it doesn't do that, but I suppose it will at last. But how curiously it twists. It's more like a corkscrew than a path. Well, this turn goes to the hill, I suppose. No, it doesn't. This goes straight back to the house. Well then, I'll try it the other way. I'm not going in again yet. I know I should have to get through the looking glass again, back into the old room, and that'd be an end of all my adventures. I really shall do it this time. Oh, it's too bad. I never saw such a house for getting in the way. Never! Oh, Tiger Lily, I wish you could talk.
We can't talk when there's anybody worth talking to.
And can all the flowers talk?
As well as you can, and a great deal louder.
It isn't manners for us to begin, you know. And I really was wondering when you'd speak. Said I to myself, her face has got some sense. Though it's not a clever one. Still, you're the right color, and that goes a long way.
I don't care about the color. Only if her petals curled up a little more, should be all right.
Aren't you sometimes frightened at being planted out here with nobody to take care of you? There is the tree in the middle. What else is it good for? But what could it do if any danger came? It could bark. It says bow wow. That's why its branches are called boughs. Didn't you know that? Silence, every one of you. The daisies are worst of all. They know I can't get at them, or they wouldn't dare do it. Never mind. If you don't hold your tongues, I'll pick you. That's right. As I said, daisies are worst of all. If one speaks, they all start together, and it's enough to make one wither to hear the way they go on. How is it you can all talk so nicely? I've been to many gardens before, but none of the flowers could talk.
Put your hand down and touch the ground, then you'll know why.
Oh, it's too hard. But I don't know what it has to do with it.
In most gardens, they make the beds too soft, so that the flowers are always asleep.
I never thought of that before. It's my opinion. Never think at all. I never saw anybody that looked stupider.
Hold your tongue. If you ever saw anybody, you keep your head under the leaves and snore their way till you know no more what's going on in the world, like if you were a bud.
Are there any more people in the garden somewhere? There is one other flower in the garden that can move about like you. I wonder how you do it. But she's more bushy than you are.
No, not that way.
Is she like me? Oh, she has the same awkward shape as you. But she's redder and her petals are shorter, I think. Does she ever come out here?
There's another little girl in the garden somewhere.
There's another little girl in the garden somewhere.
Yes, her petals are done up close, almost like a dahlia.
not tumbled about anyhow like yours. But that's not your fault. You are beginning to fade, you know, and then one can't help one's petals getting a little untidy. Does she ever come out here? I dare say you'll see her soon. She's one of the thorny kind. And where does she wear her thorns? Why, all around her head, of course. I was wondering you hadn't got some too. I thought it was the regular rule. Oh, she's coming. I hear her footsteps. Stop, stop below the gravel walk.
Teddy, you remember this part when Alice met the White Queen, don't you? Here how it goes. Alice caught the shawl as she spoke and looked about for the owner. In another moment, the White Queen came running wildly through the wood with both arms stretched out wide as if she were flying. And Alice, very civilly, went to meet her with the shawl.
I'm very glad I happened to be in the way.
Water, forever, water.
Am I addressing the White Queen?
Well, yes, if you call that addressing. It isn't my notion of the thing at all.
Well, if Your Majesty will only tell me the right way to begin, I'll do it as well as I can.
But I don't want done it at all. I've been addressing myself for the last 2 hours.
Every single thing's good, and she's all over pins. May I put your shawl straight for you?
Oh, I don't know what's the matter with it. I think it's out of temper. I've been it here, I've been it there, but there's no pleasing it.
It can't go straight, you know, if you pin it all on one side.
What?
And dear me, what a state your hair is in.
Oh, the brush has got entangled in it, and I lost my comb yesterday.
Come, you look rather better now. But really, you should have a lady's maid.
I'm sure I'll take you with pleasure. 2 pence a week, and jam every other day.
But I don't want you to hire me, and I don't care for jam.
It's very good jam.
Well, I don't want any, at any rate.
You couldn't have it if you did want it. The rule is jam yesterday and jam tomorrow, but there's no jam for today.
But it must come sometimes to jam today.
No, it can't. It's jam every other day. Today is not any other day, you know.
I don't understand you. It's dreadfully confusing.
That's the effect of living backwards. It always makes someone a little giddy at first.
Living backwards? I've never heard of such a thing.
There's one great advantage in it, that one's memory works both ways.
I'm sure mine only works one way.
It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards.
And what sort of things do you remember best?
Oh, the things that happen the week after next.
For example?
There's the king's messenger. He's in prison now, being punished. And the trial doesn't even begin until next Wednesday. And of course the crime comes last of all.
Suppose he never commits the crime?
Would it be better?
Of course, it would be all the better. But it would be all the better he's being punished.
Oh, you're on there at any rate. Were you ever punished?
Only for faults.
And you were better for it?
Yes, but then I had done the things I was punished for. That makes all the difference.
But if you hadn't done them, that would have been even better. Still better and better.
There's
and
a
better
mistake somewhere. What is the matter? Have you pricked your finger?
No, not yet. But I shall soon.
I shall soon,
And
not
when?
yet.
And when do you expect to do it?
Oh, when my brooch will come down directly.
Take care. You're handling all good.
You see, that accounts for the bleeding. Now I understand how things happen here.
But why don't you cry now?
I've done all the screaming already. What would be the good of having it off any over again?
It's so very lonely here.
Oh no. No, don't go for it, please. Consider how great girl you are. Consider what a way you've done today. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider anything but please, don't cry.
Can you keep from crying by considering things?
Of course, that's how it works. Nobody can do two things at once. Yes? So, let's consider something, for example, your age to begin with. How old are you?
I'm 7.5, exactly.
Oh, you needn't say exactly. I can't believe you without it. And now, I will give you something to believe. I am 101, 5 months and a day.
But I can't believe that.
Can't you? Try again. Draw a long breath, shut your eyes.
There's no use trying. One can't believe impossible things.
I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I did it for half an hour every day. And, why sometimes, I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Oh, there's the shawl again. Oh, there's the shawl again goes.
I hope your finger is better now.
Better and better and better.
This book is amazing, Teddy. I can read it forever. But it's late. Time to go to bed. But, you know, Teddy, it's such a pity that it was only Alice's dream. But I think sometimes even most unbelievable dreams come true, don't they?
This is the end of the second part of our evening, but every good deed deserves some reward. So please, all those who have heard me acting in the first part, would please come on to the stage. And I'll ask Professor Lavrova, please, will you do what you were supposed to do? Thank you. Well, please, all those speakers who spoke in the first part, would please come on to the stage.
This is total improvisation, but I was so much impressed by the action and by the speakers that a little poem came to my mind. Actually, that's a word for the organizer of this evening, this wonderful performance, Natalia Yevgenievna. So the first part is actually about our sponsors and people who encourage us to this Macmillan Company, and the second is a thank you to Natalia. That's the poem. It's a little bit crazy because everything is slightly crazy today, but that's quite excusable, I think. So there's a rhyme here, try to understand. It's clear no imaginable villain can wipe a smile from our face as long as publishing Macmillan is in on this demanding case. That's very much. The fall into the rabbit hole, the smile of a Cheshire cat. We now have played the keynote role
We thank for that Professor Matt. That has been a little booklet for you for new stories devoted to Alice in Wonderland. Thank you very much.
This was Professor Goldkova, who actually supervised the preparation of quite a few students who are right now on the stage. Now, Professor Labrova, could you please do what we think you might do very, very nicely? Thank you.
So, dear participants, on behalf of the English department and on behalf of the correspondence department of the English Center, headed by Professor Tokareva, and of course of the Macmillan Publishers Limited, we would like to thank you for your participation. So, first of all, we would like to give you certificates of achievement, and we would like to give you some presents, which we hope you will find useful in your future studies. So, let us just start it.
This lady in the grey dress is a Professor Sovianova, who is a representative of the Macmillan Company. Let's read her. She has appeared quite a lot. Well, but please don't leave before not everything is over. Please don't.
So we welcome Daria Markova. Is she here? And Anna Markova. I call it. Marina Bielkina. Jana Zorina. Анастасия Забужная. Вероника Добротова. Андрей Пономарев. Елизавета Волкова. Дарья Лещенко.
Thank you very much. Now, thank you, and please the second part of our participants will come those who were interested in the second part of our evening will come on the stage. Everybody, please, welcome.